Donald Trump is currently in Houston, Texas with Natalie, engaging in abhorrent and outrageous behavior, making deranged post after deranged post like this. U.S. territories, Puerto Rico, Washington, D.C., and the Strait of Hormuz, or this post right here of Donald Trump and Dolly Parton in a weird AI image. Such utter disrespect. And we know Natalie helps Donald Trump with all of his social media posts and may or may not help him with other things, which I'm not sure. Well, we won't even go there. But don't be distracted, folks, because what's always, of course, at the heart of all of this distraction machine, Donald Trump covering up a child sex trafficking ring, and Donald Trump covering up his name in the Epstein files. Trump continues to cover up the Epstein files. He got us into a catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran, with the Strait of Hormuz remaining closed right now, to cover up the Epstein files. And it's distraction after distraction. So yesterday's distraction, we are changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. How utterly ridiculous. And as Prime Minister Carney of Canada made clear, you do realize that Ontario comes from the Indigenous people who named it Great Lake or Big Lake. That's what Ontario means. It existed before Canada and before the United States. And then you saw Donald Trump's Oval Office presser. I'll just show you a small portion. And then let's talk about what's actually going on in the world, because we will not be distracted as Donald Trump, who needs to be removed and impeached and frankly prosecuted again. He's already a felon, but he needs to be prosecuted again. Just wants to distract here, distract there. But just a reminder, here's what he said in the Oval Office, that we may name the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean a new name next. Dude, just shut up. Here, play this clip.
The lake change, Lake of America, was something I've been thinking about for a long time, actually. As you know, we took something called the Gulf of Mexico, we changed it, and now it's very routinely the Gulf of America. So if you think about it, we have a Gulf and we have a lake. Now all we need is an ocean. So maybe we'll have to change the name of the Atlantic and or the Pacific. Maybe we'll change them both.
So while Donald Trump is in Houston right now with Natalie, well, Houston, we've got a problem, okay? A lot of problems. We've been talking about, of course, the price of gas and the price of diesel. And as you know, the price of beef surging as well, which Donald Trump says we're going to bring in mystery frozen beef from other countries like Argentina and elsewhere, and we're going to undercut our ranchers. But it should also be noted that wheat is soaring to the highest price in more than 3 years. Yeah, goodbye sandwiches, as this account says. ABC Australia recently published an article warning of an impending U.S. wheat shortage that could be worse than the Great Depression. And American media continues to lie and to lead us down the path to certain disaster, as Laura Myers explains right there. But Donald Trump just wants to distract you with his Dolly Parton posts, with his Strait of Hormuz posts, and the cruelty out of this regime. I want to point out as well, folks, we can just show the B-roll over here. This is a real post from the Department of Homeland Security late last night. Haiti TPS, that's the temporary protected status, has been terminated. Those with terminated TPS are in our nation illegally. They have two options: leave immediately or be deported. And this is a sick ISIS-style video that the Trump regime released late last night. Let me be very clear, and let me never mince words. The Trump regime are terrorists, okay? They are a group of terrorists, and they are people who cover up child sex trafficking. And this behavior by them, just showing video of black people, of Haitians who are handcuffed to each other and being treated like this is straight out of Nazi Germany right here, this behavior. This is as abhorrent as you get. Aaron Reichland Melnick explains, we are a broken nation. Hundreds of thousands of Haitians were living and working legally. paying taxes and contributing. Haiti remains completely unsafe, but Trump hates Haitians, and the White House wanted videos of black people in chains last night. So they stripped them of all their status and posted a video of the Trump regime torturing black people in chains, torturing Haitians in chains. This is what the United States has become. Do not normalize this behavior. This is a regime of people who are vile pieces of trash. There is scum in the Oval Office, and we together need to call it out. The rest of the world sees what's happening. Even Pakistan, the mediator between the United States and Iran, or the former mediator, as Donald Trump and Treasury Secretary Bessent announced, economic D-Day. Any country that helps Iran, we're going to hit you hard. That's economic D-Day. Remember Bessent said that? Well, Pakistan rejects unilateral U.S. sanctions against Iran. They announced it publicly. They basically said, Bessent, shut the F up, you loser. Islamabad says it is not required to enforce unilateral sanctions against Tehran without UN backing, and says we will not heed any threats by the United States to this effect. Of course, you know, China was first out the gate right away. Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister, said China absolutely rejects the United States' economic D-Day against Iran. Similarly, yesterday, you had Russia announce that it was moving forward expeditiously with its new investment plan to work with Iran on a $25 billion new nuclear facility by the Persian Gulf, in addition to the work already done in the joint venture between Russia and Iran in the Bushehr nuclear plant. Iran's President Pezeshkian announced that he will be meeting with Putin and Lavrov at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting that will be taking place next week. Xi Jinping will be there as well, who basically presides over the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting, and the coordination between China, Russia, Iran, Pakistan, and others is obvious. The U.S. security umbrella in the Middle East, bye-bye, no more. The U.S. security umbrella in Asia, bye-bye, no more. The U.S. security umbrella in Europe, bye-bye, no more. We've been hearing lots of leaks from top military officials and from officials in NATO saying that there is now a massive, massive fear that Europe and NATO do not have any of the weapons needed if Russia were to strike any NATO country because the U.S. has run out of weapons, interceptors, THAAD interceptors, ATACMS, Tomahawks. The U.S. ran out of its whole arsenal, essentially. As Hegseth's like, well, I'm not going to tell you this. No, the U.S. has run out of its weapons. What else would you expect from Donald Trump, someone who's bankrupted everything that he's touched? But the world moves on. Kuwait and Pakistan signed a joint defense and military cooperation agreement in Islamabad. That's almost like a corollary, not directly inside the Mecca Pact between Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey, but adjacent to it. We're seeing all of these regional alliances form as the United States power has shrinked. Putin sees the United States as absolutely weakened by Iran war. A classified intelligence report leaked to the Washington Post confirms that Putin recognizes what we all know. The U.S. is out of weapons. And Putin sees that the U.S. would not be able to do anything to support NATO allies, even if it wanted to. And it doesn't want to, because Trump is a Putin bootlicker. As I note, the world moves on. Prime Minister Carney of Canada, and the world moves on and the U.S. gets weaker. Prime Minister Carney of Canada is announcing that he is attending the European Union State of the Union September 16th, and he will be speaking September 17th, addressing the entire European Union leadership. And it's the first time a foreign leader has ever had that honorific to be able to do that. China's Xi Jinping excited to meet with India when there will be a big BRICS summit in September. Xi Jinping is likely to attend next month's BRICS summit in New Delhi with a large delegation, 3 sources said, in what would be his first visit in 7 years. And India is hosting the BRICS summit September 12th and the 13th. So as the Trump regime has weakened NATO, the BRICS alliance rises, and we're seeing a scramble of mid-powers, of other powers trying to adapt to a world without the U.S. power, without U.S. leadership, which is what exists right now. Should also be noted, as Donald Trump gallivants in Houston with Natalie, while they make all these deranged social media posts, this sickening stuff that they've been posting. I don't even want to show some of this trash, this filth that they've been posting. We did learn from the New York Times report late last night, Trump will not be attending the annual commemoration in New York City for the 25th anniversary of 9/11, in part because he would not be allowed to give a speech. He wanted to give one of his Trump MAGA rally speeches at the 9/11 memorial, and they don't do speeches like that there. So he goes, I'm not going. I'm not going to be there. Really? You're not going to be there? You have to give a speech. You have to make that about yourself? Again, how utterly sick. But if you think about it, what did he say on 9/11? Right away, he picked up, he called all the news networks and goes, I guess I have the tallest skyscraper in Manhattan now, which he didn't, but that was his first reaction. And remember what he said when the Saudis would always use his golf courses for the live golf tournaments. Remember, he would say, we never got to the bottom of 9/11, Trump would say. Nobody really knows what happened there. Should be noted that Trump is moving forward with giving the Saudis civil nuclear material, which could always be upgraded to weapons grade. Even though Donald Trump said, I'm not going to give it to you unless you become allies with Israel. I mean, Trump just all over the place. The guy's words mean absolutely nothing. The whole world views him as so weak and pathetic. What the Trump regime just suspended 3 Secret Service members. That's some of the latest. 3 Secret Service members were suspended by the Trump regime because they are believed to be involved in the leaks of Donald Trump using the other plane at the NATO summit where he hid in the catering container with Natalie. And apparently this has embarrassed Trump so much he's gone after the Secret Service. Again, this is so utterly weak and pathetic. So that's where we are right now. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. I could show you more stupid posts that Donald Trump made, but you get the point. Oh, let me mention this though. I think it's very important. So yesterday we saw Syria's president al-Shara give a very powerful speech where he said 2 days ago, ladies and gentlemen, throughout history, Damascus, Syria, has been a place from which great stories begin. Today, we stand here to begin a new story, the story of a homeland that regained its will and a people who regained their freedom. Many stories began in Damascus, and from here today, we begin the story of a new Syria. Now, yesterday, Israeli forces started shelling the area between Beit Jin and the Red Hills in western Damascus, Syria. And Israel was striking right in those outskirts of Damascus, sending troops in over there. Israeli forces conducted an operation near Damascus at night, shelling the area, as I mentioned. Reports describe it as a night of revenge by the Israeli occupation, with house-to-house raids also reported in the village of Razim al-Adraf in southern rural Kunitria. Syrian sources describe the Israeli operation as beyond description in their intensity. And so obviously this is in addition to the Israeli strikes in Lebanon and Gaza and elsewhere, really hitting Syria hard. And we've seen Israel, especially heading into this election, the Netanyahu regime, Smotrich and Gavir and Israel Katz saying that they now view Syria as a Gaza on steroids was the language that they were was some of them using. It's like a Gaza on steroids, and they feel threatened that Syria is allied with Turkey, and that they said this is unacceptable that Syria can rise and be a powerful nation now with the support of Turkey. And so a lot of the strikes are to try to push Turkey out right now is what they're saying. And Donald Trump's like, Strait of Hormuz, it's a U.S. territory, Lake Ontario. It's stupid behavior by the most weak and pathetic individual ever to be in the Oval Office by far. By far. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Appreciate you so much.
Hey, if you want the full story, how democracy got here and how we take it back, pre-order our new book, WTF America, today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.